Hi, I'm Pat Flannery. I spent over 30 years at Bucknell University. But my origins are a small town in central Pennsylvania, home of Yuengling Brewery. I came to Bucknell as a first generation to go to college. Certainly it wasn't something we grew up on the east side, but to have the experience of coming here and meeting the people I've met is going to add to what I want to share with you today in my journey. I didn't fit in when I first came to Bucknell University. My background, probably my vocabulary, probably a lot of my upbringing, but there were certain things that I was able to do coming here that I'll share with you. The audience today, I've given this talk many times to students, to friends, maybe people that are surfing, but it's something that I really have a passion about, and I want to leave that with you as we talk today about careers, transferable skills. I'm learning as I go as well, and if we ever stop, well, then that's a problem. So let me talk to you a little bit today about what I feel we can do as individuals to look at ourselves, look at where we've been, look at where we're going, and more than anything, to be happy in what we do. I'm talking about transferable skills that we have as humans, as educators, as people, as productive citizens. So in my career, from 14 to 21 age, I had 12 jobs. Now, it's not because I got let go on them. I was a young one trying to make money to go to school. They were probably some of the most valuable lessons I ever learned. I did everything from a tree surgeon to a playground director. I actually worked in an extruder operations where, thank goodness, I never got hurt. So from all these experiences, I was able to develop a few things that I think have stayed with me forever. Simple but true. Being on time is something my family instilled in me from the beginning. Growing up with 8 people at the table, you better have been on time or you didn't eat. Ask questions. Be inquisitive. It's so good to be able to hear people speak, and before you're trying to speak, listen to what they're saying and ask questions that will enhance the conversation or allow you to learn more about what you're talking about. And then the third thing is don't run off. When you're in meetings or you're meeting people, if you're trying to go somewhere and you're not in the moment or you're not listening to what's said, some of the most important things that are ever said happen during that time. I got my first job that way. Just as simple as staying around and talking to someone that had something to say that I didn't know enough about. So saying those things, I'll start there as a basis of what we can all do, not very hard, not very profound, but I think they're very important. What I'm going to talk about in transferable skills is my journey. And my journey came from manufacturing. My first job was with Stouffer Foods in a plant, 8 lines, tons of product, fast-paced. The next thing, I went into coaching. For 30-some years, I coached college basketball at different levels, different schools, with different personalities. And finally, development, advancement, university relations, working with people, working with constituents, trying to make that school better, much like you tried to make your teams better or you tried to make your plant better. So let's talk a little bit about those experiences. So think about your own passions and where your story is being told to this point. No matter who's listening, no matter who's viewing this, think about that, you personally, as I talk about mine, and you can change the narrative, but the experiences are going to be all yours. For instance, environment. The environment that you want to be in, the environment that you've chosen, your career. In my case, I mentioned manufacturing, fast-paced, products going out the back door, motivating people, working with people of all races, of all ages, of all economic backgrounds, to be able to be productive. Coaching, taking kids from different value systems, from different environments, from different walks of life that wanted a college education, and molding them and working with them. And then finally, development. That environment is one where you're constantly working on relationships. You're building relationships, both internally and externally. You're working with people. So environment, what kind of environment do you see yourself in order to be successful and to be happy? Measuring success and failure, I think, is a big one when you come to your skills and your career. In my case, manufacturing was a matter of packages. That's what the people would look at, is what you're getting out, how much you're being productive, what your lines are running. Loved the pace. It was very easy to be able to tell what was success and failure. Coaching, that's on the front door, that's on every paper. You know, I liked the idea, I knew what we won or lost, and knew what we were going to be judged on. Development is a gift structure where what do you bring in, who are you working with, have you set it up for the next generation, are you being good to people, are you getting back to them, or are you having really tough conversations with them? That's all setting up. So all of these are setting them up to make the place better. The one thing I'd be careful of in measuring success and failure is, I have an old saying that says, sometimes winning is as phony as losing. And what it basically means is there's times where you're set up to win. You should be successful. If we had a good production and we had a good product and we were running that day and we had no downtime, we were pretty successful. If we were supposed to beat teams that we were better than, we should have beaten them. So that was winning. But losing sometimes, when you take a loss or you get told no because you're in development and you've asked somebody to do something that they're not ready to, or if you lose a ball game on somebody else's floor that is pretty darn good, you have to judge what you consider winning and losing. Now, you may be judged on that externally, but internally, you really have to have a feel about what you've done to be success or a failure. And that measurement is something that is going to allow you to be the best person you can be in your career if you really have those hard conversations with yourself. The last thing that I have is navigating rules. When you're navigating rules, everywhere you go, you have to be able to play by those rules. You have to have a good feeling of what's going on and what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Manufacturing was OSHA. That was something where you couldn't cut corners, you couldn't put packages on the floor, you couldn't go into the back and have the freezer go down for X number of hours. You couldn't get by. If you were going to cut corners, it wasn't going to work. So you have to understand the rules and you have to be able to navigate. In coaching, it was probably referees. I probably wasn't great with it, but chasing them up and down the sidelines for the years I did, they were in charge. They were the people that had the say. They were everything. They were the people that were going to tell you if you committed a foul or if you took a charge. They were the ones that are going to make the calls. So you got to live with it and you got to navigate it. Last thing in development is something that there's all kinds of departments within a higher education, within a university. You have to be able to work with them because everybody feels like their part of that environment is the most important. And it is the most important thing to them. So when you're working and you're thinking about, are you a person that likes to be behind a desk? Are you a person that likes to be analytical? Are you someone mathematical? Where are you in your frame? As I mentioned before, what's your passion and what's your story? Those careers that I had, taking what I mentioned about being on time and going through the number of areas that I felt what motivated me and got me up every day and had pushed me as hard as I can, brings me to this point today. And I really believe that if you take the simple idea of controlling the controllables, something that you can control, because you can't control everything. And what you can control is being inquisitive, investigating, see what's out there, see what your next step is. Don't be content to punch the clock or to be in something that you're not happy. Now, you're not going to be happy every day, and there's going to be frustrations, there's going to be challenges. That's what makes this journey so incredible. That's what makes this time in our life so incredible. So whether I'm talking to a student or I'm talking to someone that's sitting out there, if I've motivated one person to say, you know what, I'm going to take a really hard look at this and see what my strengths are and what I can do, because we're going to make mistakes. Play to your strengths, play to what is your abilities, ask questions, make phone calls, see people, listen, and be happy.